What's up, Valiantpreneurs? This is your host and CEO, Dan Spottsville, and next to me I have
Makayla Mitchell.
if you are a first-time listener tuning into Valynt Volumes, in this podcast, we talk about everything entrepreneurship, business, but most importantly, Mac,
How to kick ass.
in life. Okay. All
That was
right.
new.
Yeah, I just tried to switch it up today.
Switcheroo.
Yeah.
So, how are you this week? It's finally Friday.
I feel great this week.
Yeah.
I feel like we got a lot done. We have our new hire Caroline over there.
Yes.
Listening in on us today. So I think that's cool. Because when we have new team members here, right, we try to get them the Valiant experience.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the Valiant experience, which is like really like, hey, getting into the video production, being able to see that, how we run our podcast, getting into like just kind of getting into the swing of things, right? So, I mean, this is her first week, but we're super happy that you're here. And we're looking forward to her being a good team member here at Valiant.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's been cool bringing on so many new people. Like, we
Yeah.
have the largest on-site team like here in Dallas that we've ever had since like I've been with Valiant.
Yeah.
And as I'm playing a part in the hiring process, like we had 3 people start 4 months ago, and then we had Brooke and Nick start just about a month ago, which I played a hand in like their onboarding experience, and then Caroline this week, to where like I feel like the onboarding experience is just getting that
better.
much more smooth. Like, we're figuring out, okay, what are all the things that we need to have in place before they start, when they start, like how do we structure the first week? So like I'm feeling really proud of us for finally kind of getting in the groove of that.
You did a really great job. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you really did good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've also been while we just like gush about each other's progress. I have been really impressed with the way that you've been leading the team lately.
Oh. Well, kudos to me then.
Yeah, pat on the back.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
One thing that I think is super valuable that I want to spend a couple minutes talking about is like the tips that you gave the team, or maybe just like it's the one thing that you gave the team on how to manage productivity. I thought it was really helpful when you mentioned this during our team meeting on how you want to structure making sure you're like keeping up with all the different departments. So I think you know what I'm talking about.
Sure. You're talking about the top 5.
Yeah.
You want me to talk about the top 5?
Yeah, Caroline's over there. She just gave us the number 5 on her hand, so she knows. It's stuck.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So, as we've gotten busier, there's a lot of, stuff going on, right? I mean, from the sales to onboarding clients to actually building the campaigns to now we're doing branding for Valiant. So there's so many things happening. And it stemmed from like the conversation that we've had. I think it was like the last week at some point, right? With a lot happening, it's sometimes you could get caught up in like the day-to-day stuff. I mean, look, like yesterday alone, I probably wrote down like 15 tasks before 9 a.m. I felt like I had to get done. And that's pretty normal for me, right? Because like all these ideas like just start to come to my head like every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I do apply the top 5, but it stems from like the 80-20 rule. It's called the Pareto rule. 80-20 rule, if I just break it down really quick, it means that, if there's 10 things in the business that I have to do today, there's 2 things, 20% of things that'll move the company 80% forward. And then the other 8 things will only move the company forward 20%. And this applies to a lot of areas in life, but let me just kind of keep it in business. So it stems from that. So instead of just doing the 10 things, Andy Frisella also talks about this, and I've been doing this for quite some time. But out of those, like, let's say 15 or 20 things that's on my list and that I add every single day, I have what's called a top 5. And the top 5 is a must do for me that particular day. And if I do that top 5, I don't, it's not that I don't care about the rest of the stuff, but it allows me to kind of free up my mind for the day because I know I got my top 5 done and I'm trying to alleviate stress from myself. It also stems from the fact that, like you mentioned to me, and then there's other team members that said, hey, look, what if I don't get this done? At the end of the workday during the week or on a Friday, because we have so many things going on because we're in a growth phase. My thing is like, hey, if you do your top 5, most likely your top 5 is time sensitive. And then 2, if you continue to do your top 5, you get 25 things done in a week. Within a month, you get 100 tasks done for sure, right? So that's one, that's progress. And then 2, on a Wednesday after, like say 5 p.m. at Wednesday, you don't get the 15 other things done. As long as you did your top 5, then it just rotates to the next day. Then it rotates to the next day. So it's a way for our team members to not to get stressed out because they do have a lot of things on their plate. I think the other thing that, that I like about the top 5 is that when I go to these different team members, I can just say, hey, tell me your top 5. And then I can stay on track with what they're doing on a daily basis, and make sure if I just ask everybody in different departments, like, hey, what's your top 5? It gives me a sense of where we're moving as an agency. So a little long-winded, but you get what I'm saying.
No, that's helpful. Like, whenever we talked about it first, I tried it for the first time like that Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I thought it was like super helpful. And then when we went into the office and told everyone, I made my top 5 and I shared it with the team. And then I realized by the end of the day that like one of my tasks actually took a lot longer than I expected, because within that task, it was like work on the team calendars. But I had everyone on the team's calendars, like on my to-do list, but I labeled it as one task. And then I felt a little defeated at the end of the day, because I was like, wait, I did 3 people out of like 10 of us at this point.
Sure.
And I was like, but I didn't complete my task. Then I like looked at it again. I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to restructure this moving forward. If it's one big task that has multiple tasks underneath, should I then label it like I've done 3 people's calendars rather than like the team's calendars? Because then I was thinking like, well, I didn't get to my other stuff, or how did I like look at this the wrong way, So I'm still trying to figure out how to best structure that. It's also interesting to think about like the different time it spends for tasks. Like I feel guilty on this part of thinking like, well, if the task doesn't take me a long time to do, it's not
important.
Yeah, like
I understand.
Like
I think I mentioned that to the team yesterday.
Yeah, like sending that quick email today to the video production studio that we want to like get a quote for. It's all information that I had from other video shoots. I used ChatGPT to like make the email a lot prettier. So it took maybe 5 minutes to do.
But it was in your top 5.
It was because I'd been putting it off. But like if it's a 5-minute task for a whole day's worth of work as my top 5, like does that count?
It does count. I mean? Yeah. So the top 5, whether it takes 5 minutes or 50 minutes or an hour and a half, like again, the top 5 is time sensitive. So that thing that you sent out that took 5 minutes is time sensitive, but just think about all the other tasks that you do. Look, I'm not saying also to the team, like if you do your top 5, like you can fuck around for the rest of the day. Like that's not it. The top 5's purpose is, if I summarize it, one, selfishly, it allows me to understand what the team is doing on a daily basis in different departments, so I can make sure that our team's tasks is aligned to the Valynt goals that we have set for us, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. The second thing is it allows the team not to get stressed out on a weekend or at the end of the day when they don't get all these other things that they have to get done, because as long as they do their top 5, they understand this from me that, hey, if you did your top 5, I'm cool with it. Let's just push it to the next day. And we're a now type of agency. But again, the top 5 is time-sensitive stuff that they knock out, right? So, yeah, I don't care if it takes 5 minutes or not, or if it takes an hour and a half. Just put it in your top 5 and just knock it out. That's the whole purpose.
It actually blew my mind when I started to do the math of like, okay, 5 tasks, 10 people. How many days out of the week?
That's 1,000 tasks a month.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night when I was going to bed, and I was like, we do so much.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like. And then if you start like, not to get into detail about this stuff, the top 5, but like if you add in the other tasks that people do outside of the top 5, then it becomes a lot more. So it's just one of those things, like if you implement it and you follow through with it with your team, if you're building a business or if you're a solopreneur and you use this like top 5 tip that we're talking about, it'll probably make you more productive and move you forward that much more. And you'll see at the end of the week, like how much shit you got done. So I say try it.
Yeah, last thing I'll add on that is that the top 5 allowed me to look at my big master to-do list and do a once over like thoughtfully at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, depending on when you're building that top 5, and make sure you read through everything that's on that list, because I'm guilty of just like adding it to the to-do list and then forgetting about it. Or having like a duplicate on my to-do list because it's like I thought about it a week ago, but it never moved back up to the top 5 because I didn't have a top 5. So,
and speaking of top 5, there's one thing that's that's been on your list I kind of want to bring up, which is the branding part. Again, this isn't a kudos Mac Valynt Volumes, but kudos to you for getting.
Hey, we did say I need to be more involved in the conversation on the podcast. So like, give me the kudos.
Yeah. Kudos to you for like allowing us to get into UNT.
Yes. So it's funny to the listeners out there. There's a lot of letters. And there's UNT, UTD, UNT of Dallas.
There's too many
UT.
you everything. Yeah.
So UNT, University of North Texas,
Yep.
the Denton campus
Yeah.
is where we will be speaking.
Yeah, I'm
next
super excited.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why it's exciting? And this is, I'm going to tie it back to the yearly goal book
Okay.
that we talked about back in January.
Mhm.
One of the things that I wrote down on there on January 1st was to speak at a university. So like, I already know this because I looked at my goals again like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And this was one of the goals. And when that happened, that's when I looked at my book and I was like, oh, cross it off.
Yeah.
Because that's been a thing of mine, right? Like selfishly, it's been a thing that I wanted to always do, but I just knew like timing wasn't right. Like I didn't have, the resume that I have now. So I think it all makes sense. It's like, it's all falling in line. But I'm excited and I'm grateful that you made it happen. So
yeah, it'll be cool. It's the details that we have so far is going to be 2 different classes at UNT. One's like 100-person class, one's like 7 people.
The 7 class is like more of a senior class, right?
Yeah.
Like they're about to graduate and they probably have a lot different we're going to have a lot different of a conversation than the entry level people.
Yeah. And what I'm excited for too is that like compared to other speaking type of opportunities, this one really allows us to understand the feedback because the teacher who's allowing us to speak in front of her classes, she actually requires them to do an assignment following the speaker. So they'll have like a post, what do you call it? Like a form that they have to fill out. So they have to make their own post about what they thought. It could be something they found like interesting about what we said or what they liked, disliked. And then they're required to also comment on like 2 other classmates' thoughts. So it could be, I agree, like something that simple, or like an opposing thought. So we get real-time feedback on what people, we keep talking about like colleges and what they're teaching about digital marketing. And so like this really gives us an insight on like how they're like receiving what it is that we have to say. Yeah,
that's exciting. And one more thing, and it's just a good opportunity for me to like emphasize like what we talked about early on this year, speaking it into existence, taking action on the things that you want to do for the year. Goal planning. And I remember specifically there's a short clip that I made from one of our other Valynt Volumes where I talk about, hey, like university like professors should get agency owners to talk to their class, and that's exactly what we're doing. So you remember that conversation? Yeah, I remember that. Like, and it was like early January. Well, it was only like a month ago.
I feel like we've put a year's worth of work into like the last 6 weeks. So but that's also opened up doors with like the branding initiative, not only to go to UNT but also participate a lot more in the Frisco Chamber of Commerce. We have a gala next week that we're going to. So do you want to touch on the gala at all, or?
I think it's just another part of what we've been talking about this year is embedding ourselves in the city of Frisco. So as you all know, if you're here in DFW as a Valiantpreneur listening, City of Frisco is Sports USA. Not only that, it's Tech USA. Insert whatever. It's a growing city, right?
Yeah, they literally trademarked Sports
City USA or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So we're about to launch their campaign, digital marketing campaign here, probably within like the next 2 weeks. I actually have a conversation with some of their, I wouldn't say salespeople, but those people that are in charge of like bringing new companies to the city of Frisco.
I'm trying to think of exactly what they call themselves.
It'll probably hit me in a little bit, but I'm excited to talk to them too. So like 3 of our digital marketers are going to speak to each individual person, set up their Luna automation for them. So they're going to be using our software, which is cool. But most importantly, the gala is just another thing that we're doing to make sure that we're present and it's at the, what is it? It's at the new PGA.
Omni PGA Resort. They actually called it a resort.
And it's sold out. It has like 650 plus business owners and people that are, this is so old school for me to say, like movers and shakers of the city. Have you heard that terminology?
No.
Yeah, that's some old school shit. That's okay.
Emilio is familiar, but
like movers and shakers, right? Yeah. So like it's more like from the like the early late 90s, like, but basically people that are like forward thinking, innovative, that are in the game, like making shit happen, basically is what it means. But I'm excited for it.
Whenever I called the Omni like Frisco hotel just to like learn about what they had going on to see if there was anything else that like we could participate in, like when we go there, before, after, you name it. they had such a nice, like, not customer service. I don't feel like that's the right
Experience.
like the person I spoke on the phone who was sharing with me what type of experiences they have going on at the resort. Like,
Sure.
even if you're not staying here, you can go
Mm-hmm.
to play golf at the resort. And I was
Yeah.
like, Frisco, Texas has a resort. Like,
Yeah,
that's
and they spent $500 million or more on it. Like, yeah, like I read this article that the new PGA, like, I guess home office kind of thing plus resort, like they spent so much money. They took years and years to build it. I mean, it's apparently a beautiful golf course, that they have on the resort. Obviously, on top of that, they have other amenities, that a resort would have. So I'm excited to go there, experience it. But more importantly, like I plan on doing something at the gala, dropping some digital on these people. I won't get into the details of it, but me, you, and Jagger are shooting something that we're gonna drop on them. So hopefully it'll
Do you have your outfit ready?
No, I'm like this weekend. Maybe I'm trying to go look for. I mean, I'm wearing my fedora hat, not this.
Okay, yeah.
This isn't appropriate for that. So
Yeah, I've ordered 6
Yeah.
dresses on Amazon
shit.
just to test, and then I've already booked my hair and makeup. So
Nice.
I'm doing it big.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I'm excited for it.
Okay. So all of that is kind of a great introduction into some of the topics that I had for us to talk about, which was
Yeah.
like branding and marketing. Since Valynt's been doing a big push on our own branding, I thought it might be helpful just to kind of differentiate one, like branding versus marketing, before we kind of get into some hot topics. I liked that last week or week before we did our first kind of hot topic episode. Thought it was a nice variation, like in comparison to some of the like questions and answers that we've done with you. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with hot topics today. But before we do that, how do you define branding versus marketing?
Branding versus marketing. Well, I think the end goal is kind of the same, but I think Jagger kind of had this conversation. Look, there's branding for sales, right? Branding to like get more sales, and then there's more branding to build your brand and create more awareness about who you are to people that may necessarily not need your service or product, right? So like becoming more like in a sense, like becoming more popular,
Yeah.
right? And becoming more like hip, urban, or whatever, just known within the community or the city or the United States of America. So like I'll explain it. So like we have branding partnerships, with, I'm not going to name our partners right now, but we have branding partnerships that are designed to generate leads and sales for us, right? So these are people that are probably in the capital raise industry. They're probably going to be broker dealer firms, and we have some sort of branding deal to where they'll put our brand on their website, that sort of thing. But that's geared towards getting more sales for Jagger and Nick. And then there's also just the branding part to spread the word of who we are, which is like the FC Dallas. So I don't necessarily care the affiliate partnership that we have with FC Dallas, whether we get new sales or not, is to solidify ourselves and to elevate our brand.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? With the association and with the things that we do with them. It's the same thing with the city of Frisco. It's, to me, I look at it as a branding partnerships. And I think a lot of people get it wrong. And I also see a lot of entrepreneurs, look, there's no right or wrong way to go about branding. I think there are better ways depending on, so like I chose the route for this agency to make sure we delivered results first and kind of got our footing right before we spent any money on actually branding with like affiliate partners, or joining a chamber, right? Like, so like you've been here 3.5 years enough. So like you see the strategic moves that we've made over the last couple of years, and you can kind of see it like blossoming now.
Yeah. There was, as I was looking it up earlier this week, just kind of different thoughts on like branding versus marketing. I think the one that really encompassed it the most was like branding is about creating a relationship with the consumer.
Sure. There you go. That's good.
Branding is the marketing practice of actively shaping your brand. It's about defining who you are as a company, versus with like marketing, you're trying to convince a customer to buy the product they need like right now. So branding is more long term, remains consistent, but marketing can constantly evolve. It can be short term. It creates needs. Branding is more relationships. So everything you just said on the spot like really lined up with everything that I had like found. And even the last bullet point was like branding important for brand reputation, marketing important for creating sales.
Well, I guess I know my shit then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Isn't this what they teach in universities probably? I wouldn't know because I never went. Well, I went to college, but like you
Yeah.
know, I just partied and never graduated. So
See, I studied psychology with a minor in drug addiction and alcohol. So
interesting.
different,
Yeah.
totally different. But it's
Yeah.
interesting how psychology has played a part in like the marketing piece.
Yeah, it plays a big part in how I think about building ads, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I think like, well, what would a potential investor think for our investor base ads? So like, I always try to put myself in the shoes of the person on the other end, and I also know because of psychology and some of the data that I've read in terms of like how people think. We've tailored our strategy based on how people act online, their behaviors online. So like it plays a huge part in marketing.
Yeah.
Especially in what we do.
I mean, even more specifically, like a really specific example is the marketing behind different brands like clothing. Like we've talked about this before, but I think you have some of the like numbers in this head of yours about like the different, like there are some people on TikTok who were exposing big brands and like where they get their products from.
Yeah.
It was like you can buy the same brand of hoodie from this big what do you call it, big box store kind of thing.
Yeah. I can touch on it. Yeah. So
I'll butcher it.
Yeah, there's a profile that I share with you. There's this guy online that shares. It's not to really expose them. It's more so like, hey, if you have like a brand, like an e-commerce business, and you're trying to sell like hoodies, t-shirts, pants, jeans, or whatever, he tells you where the big brands are, like what companies the big brands are using, so you can get it for the same price. Obviously, the big brands get probably more of a lower price because of the sheer amount that they're buying, like in the hundreds and thousands and like millions in bulk, right? But the point is like, like take this hoodie for example,
Hurley.
yeah, a Hurley, right? This hoodie probably costs like $5. But then because they slap this logo on it, they can increase it to whatever price. Same thing with the hat, right? This hat is like at cost probably like $1.50 or $2.
Right.
But because of the branding, it costs more.
Yeah.
Is that the point that you were trying to get to?
No, that's exactly the point. Yeah, because I watched something about who was Taylor Swift friend? Blake Lively. That was at the Super Bowl. It was a video of her like cheering at the Super Bowl, and then it was like zooming into what she was actually wearing, and there was a lot of different like branded jewelry or just like her clothes, and it was like $17,000, $7,000, like all this crazy stuff, and it's like
but that's not the cost of it. Like that's what the brand the value. So like that's what the brand, right? So we were just talking about brand. So depending on how your brand is perceived in the world, the value of your merch like changes completely. So like you slap on the same hoodie, you slap a Nike logo, it goes up in price by like another 50%. So let's just say this hoodie was $30. I think I got it for like $25, because I just like this brand too. And it's very comfortable. See?
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
It's
okay.
Terrific.
But then you slap a Nike logo on here. This hoodie, the same hoodie would cost me like probably $75. Like there was a red Jordan hoodie that I wore. It's the same type of material, but because it had a little Jordan emblem on it, I pay like $75 for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you slap a Fendi, or Louis Vuitton or whatever.
Branding, branding even gets so extreme is the word I think of, that like Kleenex is the brand, but whenever we need a tissue to blow our nose, we say, give me a Kleenex. That thing is not a Kleenex. There's a brand of Kleenex that offers the tissue.
That didn't hit me until you told me that like a few weeks ago. I was like, holy shit. Because I'll tell people like, hey, can you give me a Kleenex?
Yeah, or a Band-Aid. Band-Aid is the brand.
That's the ultimate branding.
Bandages.
When you refer to a product or merch with the brand's name, I think that's ultimate marketing.
Exactly. So like the branding and marketing like all playing in together, and that's what we're really striving for this year. Is we've figured out how to sell and what we're selling, our service, our products, like everything that we have.
Yeah, we know how to do that.
And now we're focusing on that, the Valiantpreneur, the Valiant, be Valiant piece of the puzzle. We want Valiant Digital to be the face, the reason.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Like this podcast is called Valynt Volumes. You know what I mean? We have our goal of like making this kind of like a media like spinoff within Valyant Digital, to where we may get like talent underneath it, and then help people out, get more notices. But we got to do that first for ourselves, before we start getting people underneath the brand. So I'm excited about that. But we did order a lot of merch that's coming. It's gonna just takes like so long. They were like telling me like 5 to 7 weeks. To get like, I mean, I ordered like 80 hoodies, like 75 hats. I just ordered a bunch.
Wait, 5 to 7 weeks on top of the 6 to 12 months it took you to make a decision?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But part of that process was like you going and looking at brands that you wanted your hoodies to be like, you know?
Yeah, there's like certain feels that I want for hoodies, and like there's a certain hat. You know the other Valiant hat that I have? Like I like the branded bill. So like it's called Branded Bill. Shout out to Branded Bills. I love the hats that they make out of all the other companies. Actually, and then there is Hat Launch. I like Hat Launch too. So those are two brands that make hats, and they started off making hats. Like Branded Bills started off making hats like a couple years ago. Now they do hoodies, flannels, but you just see what I'm saying? They got known for one thing.
Yeah.
And then that's another thing that I can kind of tie into this is like, it's very seldom that a brand gets known for like multiple things simultaneously. You always got to pick one thing. And that's where a lot of entrepreneurs make a lot of mistakes, is that they try to be everything for everyone, and it's impossible. And trust me when I say this, if you're a Valiantpreneur and you're listening, you cannot be everything for everyone simultaneously. You got to pick a lane. Some entrepreneurs don't ever make it because they never have the balls to choose a lane. Pick a lane. And if you fuck up and pick the wrong lane, just go in the fucking other direction. That's all you got to do.
Okay, you heard it here first. You have to pick a lane. Now,
I'm serious, yeah.
how do you feel about Beyonce picking country music? Should she stay in her lane?
No, because to the point that I'm making, she's known for her like, you know, pop music, and she started in kind of like R&B / like pop, right? Back in like the 90s. I remember because I was in high school listening to her. But I mean, she's dominated that. So like if she wants to, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
If she wants to move into country music, I know there's a lot of hate, and I want to touch on that. But why not let her make country music? And if she, I mean, who's to judge? Who am I to judge her to say she can't make country music? She's a singer. If you can sing, you can sing country. You can go into pop. You can go into R&B. And if your vocal allows to do that, if your skill sets in singing allows you to do that, then I say go for it. What's the difference of us? Like we picked a niche and we went into capital raises, but what? Because we're in digital marketing, we can't go into like the dental or chiropractic space or esports, or you know what I mean? Like there's so many other spaces that we can go into. We just haven't gone into those different spaces, right? I think it's no different in singing.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's like Michael Jordan going from the NBA, and he got 3 rings. He dominated. He was like, I'm gonna go play fucking baseball. Yeah. And he did. And a lot of people hate. Yeah.
I don't know.
You know about this, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Everyone's shaking their heads.
She doesn't know sports.
Derek Jeter.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's
like the only name I always hear from you, Derek Jeter.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, Post Malone did it too, but maybe my algorithm just showed me positivity about like Post Malone, but I feel like I didn't see much backlash. It was more like, oh my God, finally.
That's what I saw a lot of too, is like for Post Malone to go from like rap, right? Because he was in the rap category. Am I right to say that?
I don't know how to categorize it.
Yeah, pop rap. But anyways,
he's from Grapevine, Texas. You know that, right?
I do know that. Huh. That's where you live now.
That's
if anybody wants to know,
surprise,
you live in Grapevine.
Okay.
But anyways, like he made the move, and like he was even on the stage with like other country singers. But like, why is Beyonce not getting? Maybe, you know, like I said, I see a lot of negativity around like her going into like country music, because I did look like through my social media. There's a lot of hate.
Yeah.
But if you're getting hated on, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Is how I see it.
And what is it? No publicity is bad publicity. People are talking about you.
There is a whole saying, like, because when publicity comes, right, like if it's bad publicity, there's always going to be people on the other side. It's never usually one-sided. No matter how crazy you think what they're doing or what they did is insane or bad, there's always going to be people on the flip side that says, no, that's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy for you. I'll support you. So like, no publicity is bad publicity.
Period.
Period.
Exclamation.
Yeah.
Question. All right. Switching gears. Well, kind of staying in track with like the Super Bowl though. Did you watch it?
I did. I fell asleep in the fourth, like 3-4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I went to bed.
Yeah.
I was tired.
Did you like the commercials?
I did.
Do you have a favorite? Do you remember any of them?
I want to flip that question on you. What's a notable commercial on the Super Bowl that you remember seeing, and why was it like, you know, why was it notable for you?
So I have a lot of thoughts here. There were a lot of aliens. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, I made notes of this because it was so I'm so serious. Oreos did an alien commercial. Apartments.com. Squarespace, and then CrowdStrike did like a robot kind of futuristic thing, which it just seemed to be like a theme.
Yeah, I wonder why that. Maybe because of the alien stuff that happened recently, or because of your show.
Okay, so Resident Alien premiered last night, season 3. Last night meaning February.
Like literally
15th?
last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting that they had a lot of alien stuff. One that I thought was kind of gross, but I also liked was the cat mayo one. They were just like eating mayo, like it was supposed to be eaten just by itself. Do you remember that one?
No, I'm drawing blanks on the Super Bowl commercials. Yeah.
Well, let me give you some insight. So first, $7 million for 30-second slot this year.
Yeah, it went up. Like last time I talked about it, it was like 5 million.
Yeah.
Per slot.
So the first Super Bowl was actually in 1967, Green Bay Packers and Chiefs. Do you want to take a guess at how much it was for a ad in the Super Bowl?
12,500.
42,000.
That's
So I mean,
off.
Still a lot of money.
Yeah,
And
back
then-
in 1967. Yeah.
And then 2010, you want to take a stab? How much?
1.5 million.
2.6.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's increased significantly.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I wrote down was Uber Eats. It was don't forget Uber Eats. It's basically where it was like, if you insert Uber Eats into your life, like you'll forget like at least one thing, so you don't forget about Uber Eats. And like Jelly Roll was in the mirror looking at his face, being like, "Why do I have these things on my face? They won't come off." And then they did the Jennifer Aniston and David Schimmel
From Friends.
Yeah. Like Ross and Rachel, and she was like,
I remember that
I
commercial.
don't know you. Like, who are you? So I thought that one was noteworthy.
Yeah.
State Farm
I liked Arnold.
had a good neighbor.
Neighbor.
And then they also made fun of Christopher Walken in BMW. Talking like Walken. He was going around everywhere.
That one was funny. I liked that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a good one. I also kind of like the Ben Affleck and J-Lo one with Tom Brady was in it. So was Ben Affleck's like friend on Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, Dunkings.
Dunkings.
Yeah, like
yeah,
Kings.
that one was a really good one. So there was a few that I personally like too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did you see the CeraVe lotion?
No.
Okay, so it's like lotion, like daily moisturizer.
Okay.
Do you know the actor Michael Cera?
I'm sure if I see this,
you would Juno. Do you remember the Juno, the pregnant teenager movie? Okay, so there's an actor, Michael
show me a
Cera.
picture.
Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. But
Yeah.
Michael Cera, his last name sounds like. Here's a picture, Michael Cera.
Oh yeah. Okay. You should have said the Facebook like movie.
Oh,
He was in the Facebook movie.
Okay, so the Facebook movie, Michael Cera. Okay, so
Yeah.
like a week, maybe 2 weeks before, a bunch of influencers on TikTok start showing that they have like PR packages from CeraVe, this lotion. And there's like nothing all that special about CeraVe. Like I use it. It's just daily moisturizer. And there's pictures of Michael Cera like in the pharmacy, like signing CeraVe. And then people are like, wait, did Michael Cera create CeraVe? Like, is he behind it maybe? And it just like never was a thing.
Yeah.
There's all this talk about it like on the internet. And then there's a commercial about it for the Super Bowl. And it's basically just encompassing what's been happening in the last 2 weeks about people are like, wait, is it him? Is it not him?
So they were like building the hype. That's a good marketing strategy.
I mean, real PR packages were sent out with like his face on the bottle or on a t-shirt, like
That's cool.
adding it in, crossing letters out or something.
Yeah.
And then the end of the commercial is him standing in front of a boardroom of CeraVe people being like, get it?
Yeah.
It's Michael CeraVe?
Yeah,
And it
that's
was
cool.
like, wait, what is it real? Is it not real? And I don't think there was ever like a definitive it's not real, but like now it
The whole purpose
is
was
real.
for brand building and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so like so let's talk about the Super Bowl commercials and trying to kind of give this conversation an end. But I think even within the Super Bowl commercials, there were branding commercials, right? So like I think a lot of those like beer companies do a lot of branding commercials, and I don't think they're necessarily banking on the Super Bowl to sell more beers. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think it's more of a branding play. But then what stands out to me is Kanye West, Yeezy. So like he did a commercial on the Super Bowl, spent $7 million, and you saw it, right?
Yeah.
He did like an iPhone video in the car looking kind of thing. He was like, "Oh, I spent all my money on this ad, so like I had to shoot it." He was kind of nonchalant. He was like, "Oh yeah, just go to Yeezy.com, right?" And he said that. So he spent $7 million on this commercial, and he's saying like, and like he's just saying like what Kanye West would say now.
Yeah, like he never hit re-record to like do a take two.
No, it was like take one, yeah, and he just put it out there on the Super Bowl ad. And everybody was like, that's crazy. But like he spent $7 million on it. I think within the 24, 48 hours, he made $19 million in sales.
Stop.
Yeah, he did 19.3 or something is what I read online. So that's gross, right? I mean, now I'm getting a little technical, but that's gross. But my point is, like, he didn't lose money on running the Super Bowl ad. He probably made money off of it, a couple $1 million, right? Even after all the expenses. So that's a sales play. But then also, like, for him, I think that's both. Like, he did a sales play and a branding play at the same time. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And it's very different because like all the other commercials were really well produced, and this is the social media, like it just has that grungy feel, like just like another TikTok video kind of thing, and it worked well too. So
That is
just
really
like different style of video, but then he was probably like the only one that did that style of video, which makes people like talk about it, like we are right now.
Yeah, no kidding. And then like on the total flip side, there were businesses like Temu and
Is it Temu or Timu?
it's
Both?
TEMU. That's all I know. They
Yeah.
had a real song though that they made for it.
Yeah.
But like that one and homes.com each had 3 minimum commercials. Temu's all were the same song. It was just literally the same repeat commercial 3 times, if not 4. And then homes.com with Levy.
Yeah, my sister
Eugene Levy, son.
Yeah.
He did a completely different commercial for each one. So like the production costs on that had to have been massive to also, unless he's got some like investment or equity in that company, they paid him a shit ton of money. And then here's Kanye.
Yeah, I know. So different type of commercials, but I think every year there's always that standout. I think Kanye West's stuff like stood out to me the most probably, because I can resonate with it. It makes sense for me. So.
Well, I guess I kind of only have a little fun facts if you want to know more about like Super Bowl ratings, but I think we're kind of coming up towards the end of today's episode. Is there anything you wanted to touch on before we kind of
from my side, to give, I don't think so. Like I don't know. I didn't come like prepared on a topic. I kind of like relied on you today, so
yeah,
I liked all the things that we talked about.
Oh well, thank you. If you are interested, I'll fill you in on. There are actually some ways that people like grade Super Bowl commercials. Like Kellogg's School has a Super Bowl advertising review. It's called the ad plan, and the way that they're like strategically rating the Super Bowl commercials is through an acronym of ad plans called based on attention, distinction, positioning, linkage, amplification, and net equity.
Okay.
So
yeah,
if you're ever in the market for a Super Bowl commercial, that's how you're going to be viewed at the Kellogg School.
I think that's interesting for sure, that people score that. But I think as a business owner, though, I don't give 2 shits about how they score my commercials. As long as I get whatever I want out of it, I don't give up.
Yeah. So he just mouthed.
But no, but that's good to know though, because I didn't know that they did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm still honestly like I'll leave listeners, Valiantpreneurs with this. I've been in marketing for quite some time, but like I do recognize like even in this moment that there's so much that I learned, like little things about marketing I learn, like I think not daily, but like to be honest with you, like weekly. I'm always learning something new about marketing, no matter what aspect it's from. Is it from the sales side? Is it from, the lead generation side? Like I'm always learning. So I think the one advice is like, man, just keep an open mind, because like the moment that you start making assumptions in marketing is the moment your marketing is going to stop working.
Ooh, maybe. Oh, I like that. Let's just let that sit for a second. But that was making me think like maybe there's every month there's a top 4 things you've learned about marketing. There's one thing a week, and then you do that math, and it's like, holy shit, I've learned so many new things about marketing in a year.
There is one thing I could share, like if you're doing like lead generation and you're trying to get people on the phone, there's one thing I took away from a client that flew in from New York last week.
Okay.
I won't mention his name here, but he told me like one way to gauge if your investors are very interested in your investment opportunity is to see if they would show up on a call with you on a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon or / night, because that means they want to talk to you. And if you tell them like, hey, the only time I have available for this investment opportunity is at Friday at 7 p.m. or Friday at 8 p.m. or Saturday at 4 or Saturday at 7 p.m., that's a huge indication that they really want to know about this investment opportunity, and a huge indication that you might be able to close them on the sale if your investment opportunity is legit, and it, like you're very credible, and you have something that has an impact on society and will benefit the investor simultaneously. So I'll end it with that.
Thank you for sharing that. I had it on my list of things that I wanted us to talk about, but I didn't know how to fill it in. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, that's a wrap for today's episode. For the Valiantpreneurs out there, if you have any topics you want us to discuss, if you like us doing the Q&As more and have some questions for us, email us at hello@valyantdigital.com, and stay tuned because we have another guest coming on Valynt Volumes here in a couple minutes. But for you listeners out there, maybe a day or two when it comes out.
Until the next volume.
Peace.